Daniel Parmeggiani was 17. He had a life-changing vision of self-forgiveness and self-love, and he was moved to put those revelations into his first book, The Magnificent Truths of Our Existence, Unlocking the Deeper Reality of Permanent Happiness. Daniel, I want to look at your early home life a little bit here. Your parents had that differing worldview. What was each parent like in those years, and what messages were they getting across to you in those younger days?
Hi, John. Well, first I want to say thank you so much for inviting me to your show. It's an honor to be here. And yes, growing up, after the death of my brother, my mother felt very guilty about what happened, and she wanted to make sure that nothing ever happened to me, her other son. So she overprotected me. She treated me like a little kid, like a little child, and I didn't develop well. I ran into trouble in school. I started being bullied and picked on. This all created a lot of self-doubt and very low self-esteem, and just a growing sense in me that there was something terribly wrong with who I was, with what I was. Later on in life, my father intervened, and he was the opposite of my mother. He was, and he still is, he's still around, a very hard-driven man who expects the best from those around him. And so he was shocked to see me so afraid to go out into the world. I had this terrible social phobia. I wouldn't even want to go to school. And so he was very disappointed in me and expressed that, and this just added to my sense that there was something wrong with me. Later on in life, my mother and I, we moved to the United States, and my father stayed behind, and this was by design because my father's influence was really wearing me down, and a psychologist recommended that we be separated. But the perfectionism, that worldview that my father had so strong in him, filtered down to me, and I just became this raging perfectionist. Just totally obsessed that everything I did had to be just right, or else it wasn't good enough. So I became hypercritical of myself, and I just reached a point where I just couldn't live with myself anymore. It was the inner judge inside of me was just out of control, always finding me guilty, finding myself guilty with everything I did. And that's what led to my epiphany one day. Mm-hmm. I realized that I was always doing the best I can with what I knew. And I realized that everybody is always doing the best they can given our current state of awareness. Mm-hmm. And the best we can at, what I mean by that is, at feeling better, at getting closer to the happy place, to the peaceful inner peace that we're looking for. And it's a universal longing that drives everything we do. Through this, I was able to forgive myself for the first time and to begin my journey towards inner peace.
Well, you had quite a few challenges as a child: low self-esteem, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and you were bullied too. We hear a lot today about bullying, how it's at the root of many violent outbreaks, such as school shootings. What kind of bullying were you subjected to in school?
Well, some of it was violent. There was one time where the teacher, in Venezuela, things are a little bit more lackadaisical in the school, so the teacher might leave for an extended period of time and take a break and leave the kids alone in the classroom. And that's when all mayhem took place. And one time, a bunch of kids just pushed me head first into a wall, and I had a major concussion for a few days. And that led to my parents taking me out of that school and putting me in a new one, and to realizing that there was something going on. Because I kept everything to myself. I kept my problems to myself. I just felt like I was to blame for everything that was wrong in my life. sometimes kids do that, and it just makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, there was a lot of bullying, and I stood out because I looked different. I was blonde and a little bigger than everybody else. And at the same time, I acted like a little child, like a baby. I was essentially a big baby and an easy target for everybody. So, that all conspired to put me in this really dark place, a prison within my own mind. But eventually, it led to that epiphany, which just completely transformed my life and allowed me to perceive myself in an entirely different light.
Well, your writing is very straightforward, and you learn that our only motivation in life is to be happy. Talk about that one motivation in life.
Yes, this is what makes everybody equal. We all have the same driving force, the same motivation that drives every single one of our actions and decisions. And that is always to move away from pain and closer to pleasure. That's at the most basic level. And all of nature does this, and we are no exception. So we're driven by this one desire, and that is to maximize our well-being. Now, this may sound very basic and very fundamental, but it really has a world of meaning within it. Because when you explore a little deeper what we're really after at a deeper level, we're all looking for the same state of mind, the ultimate state of mind, which is just a pure, happy inner heaven, where we feel at peace with ourselves, at peace with our world, and where we feel only love and compassion and joy. These are the highest feelings that we're all capable of. And everything we do is an attempt to get closer to that state. Mm-hmm. When you see that, then you begin to understand your own actions and forgive them, realizing that we're all looking for the same thing. Deep down, what we want is a certain feeling, a certain state of mind. And when you look at it that way, you see that people don't have different agendas. There are no good people or bad people out there. And you yourself are not good or bad. We're all looking for the same destination. And we just, we're dealing with a lot of ignorance of how to get there. So we're trying to make our way to the mountaintop. We just sometimes don't know which way is up or down. And that alone helps you understand people's behavior and forgive them and embrace them.
Well, you're right that we're not complicated, flawed, guilty creatures, and I'm wondering, because you had religion as part of your upbringing, where does original sin come into play, or is that completely out of the picture?
Well, when you look at little kids and you see how happiness is our natural state, you look at little kids and they're naturally happy. They're naturally in a joyful state where life is just wonderful. And why is that? Because, first of all, they don't have all the baggage. They don't have all the learned beliefs about ourselves. Negative beliefs, negative labels that we place on ourselves, that we acquire from our environment, and we learn to judge ourselves in this way. When you don't have that, you have that natural, happy state, joyful, at peace with yourself, and just enjoying life. So, the thing is to return to that place. Mm-hmm. And the way you return to it is simply by unlearning all these negative beliefs and realizing that you are always innocent. You are always a worthy spiritual being. And the key to understanding that we're innocent is just understanding what's really driving us, how we operate at a deeper level, what's our true longing in life. Underneath everything that appears to be different on the surface, we're always, all of us, are striving for the same ultimate destination, which is a state of mind.
You've also listed the what you call the 5 existential needs that all of us share. Talk about those 5 existential needs.
Sure. Well, again, drawing from what we start out with as a child, the first existential need that we have naturally to begin with, but then we lose, is self-acceptance, simply being okay with ourselves. Not doubting whether we're worthy or not doubting whether we're valuable, good or bad. All these self-doubts that creep into our minds as we grow older, but we don't have at the beginning. This is the first existential need, to return to that place of inner harmony where we embrace ourselves, where we're okay with who we are and we don't judge ourselves negatively. So, it's pretty sad to look at people in general. We're always going out there into the world trying to prove ourselves worthy of our own love, of our own acceptance, because that's what we're really trying to do when we try to accomplish all these things and get the acceptance from others. We're really after our own love, our own self-acceptance that we lost. And then that's the most important need of the 5. But then there's also our harmony with our outer world, the need for connection. We had that connection as children. We felt connected. Anytime we approached anybody, we felt no barriers. You see little kids, they just come up to you and they have a big smile on their face. There is no barriers. There's total connection. They feel loved and protected by their parents. We lose that. We also lose our sense of meaning. That's the third existential need. And as a small child, you have all the meaning you could ask for. The world is wonderful. You look around, everything is something to be discovered. Everything you touch is amazing. And then later on, we lose that again. We become identified with this temporary physical body. We think this is all there is. We go to school and they teach us this dry view of the universe and the world where everything is just mechanical, and we lose that sense of meaning. Then there's the need for justice and fairness, and we're born with an inherent need for that. And as small children, we're not exposed to the apparent unfairness of the world and the ultimate unfairness of doing all this and then just ceasing to exist when our physical bodies die and nothing meant anything. Finally, the need for safety. You're not aware as a small child that your very existence is always threatened by disease, by death, and by all the things that can happen in this dangerous world. Then later on, we try to reestablish that sense of safety, but it's never to be found as long as we identify with this temporary, vulnerable body, and we see the little picture instead of the big picture. So those are the 5 existential needs that I identified simply by noticing what children already have naturally and what we lose when we grow up and we become immersed in the general way of thinking of our culture and of our environment.
Mm-hmm. Well, when we grow up, we oftentimes take a lot of guilt with us, maybe something that we learned during our childhood or picked up through our family, our tribe, whatever. What would you say to someone who's been living with an awful lot of guilt?
I would say that everything we ever do is the only thing we can do at that moment, given our current state of awareness. That alone makes you innocent. That alone means that you couldn't have done otherwise. This is the key to our innocence, the inevitability of our actions. So you can take anything that you're feeling guilty about in the past, put yourself back in that situation, and imagine what you thought were your options at the time, and the outcome of each option, you will see that you always choose what you thought was going to maximize your well-being, most sense. There is no way to deviate from this. So if you're regretting that choice, it's because now you know better. Now, it's easy, 2020, hindsight is 2020. Now you know better. You saw the result. You saw that it wasn't what you anticipated. But at the time, you didn't.
Mm.
Otherwise, you would. Had you known better at the time, you would have acted differently. This is the exercise that cleanses all guilt. It's realizing that at that moment, you really have no other choice. You did the only thing you could have, given your current state of awareness, because we're always seeking to maximize our own well-being. This is what makes us equal. This is what makes us all equally worthy of unconditional love, of forgiveness. And this is what enables all the lofty spiritual ideals that we have: inner peace, compassion, non-judgment. They all depend on our innocence. And our innocence is a fact. It's a verifiable fact when you realize that you're always doing the best we can with what you know.
You had exposure to Eastern and Western religious practices. What did you find in those processes? What did you learn?
Well, I grew up. My mother, when I was growing up, after the death of my brother, she became a Hare Krishna. So that was the Eastern exposure that I had to that religion, which is very much like the Hindu religion. And then at the same time, I was put in a Catholic school, so I had both sides of the coin there.
Oh, gee.
But really, when I had my first epiphany, which simply knowing, understanding what truly drove me and everything I decided and all my actions and decisions, I really wasn't thinking about religion. I wasn't thinking about, I need to figure out the truth of who we are or anything philosophical. I was just trying to find a way out of my misery. I thought I was obsessed at the time with figuring out what it takes to feel better, because I just couldn't take it anymore. And that's what came to me. I said, wow, I'm always trying to feel better. This is all I ever do. This is all anybody ever does. And just knowing that releases you from all the what-ifs, from all the thoughts that you should be doing something differently, that you are a mistake, that your path was a mistake. You know that it is the only way it could have possibly been. This completely frees you from that mental prison. And that's why I felt compelled to write this book and explain in very plain terms what I saw and what rescued me from that place. But where nothing else could rescue me from. Psychologists were trying to help me. My parents were trying to help me. But nothing could reach me until I stumbled upon this truth about ourselves.
Well, you write about how important it is for us to feel connected and have a sense of belonging. I'm wondering what you think about the kind of connection that we're doing today in our society with things like Facebook and Twitter. Is this hurting that sense of connection, even though it's supposed to be connecting us?
Well, that's a very limited sense of connection when you're cyber connected, and when it takes away the connection to yourself, because that's what really is happening here. It's that we're always connected to the noise. We're always connected to our smartphones and to Twitter, Facebook, emails, and texting, and we don't connect with ourselves. And we long for much more than that. We want a true sense of connection where we're transparent to each other, where we don't have to pretend anything to each other, and where there's an unconditional sense of acceptance. But that all starts with yourself. And if you don't have the time to shut everything off and just go for a walk in the forest and connect with yourself and embrace yourself as you are, understand yourself a little better, a little deeper, then all of this really means nothing. You know, it all starts with yourself. When you can connect with yourself, embrace yourself as you are, forgive yourself, understand your true worth, and embrace that, then you're ready for true connection with others, because you will see the same in others. And you will see that they are just like you are, and that everybody's equally embraceable, and that everybody's deserving of forgiveness. This is what begins true connection. And unfortunately, we think we're connected, but we're not.
You use the term existential harmony, which is the feeling of absolute and permanent happiness. How does one get to that point of existential harmony?
Well, existential harmony is having fulfillment in the 5 existential needs that I outlined before. You know, we need inner harmony, which is harmony within yourself, harmony where the war that's raging inside your mind is no longer there. You're no longer in conflict with yourself. That is inner harmony. And then outer harmony, harmony with your world, where you feel connected, where you feel the sense of connection that we all long for to something greater than yourself, that you don't feel like an isolated fragment that's disconnected from everything. We need to feel like we're part of something bigger and a meaningful part of that. Then the other types of harmonies are feeling that you have meaning, that your existence has meaning, more than just a temporary existence. It's something greater, something that's progressing towards a common goal. The need for justice, that you live in a fair and just universe that's taking care of you, that you were created and placed in something that is taking care of you and loving you. And the need for safety, that you will go on, that this is not just a temporary blip in this dark universe, that you are a being that will continue on and grow and progress on your spiritual path of awakening. All of these are the sense of harmony that we require. And when we have these reassurances, when we understand that we do have these 5 existential needs taken care of, the happiness that we're longing for happens automatically. This is what we had as small children, because we never questioned these things. Now we need to realize that the things we think we're missing are not really missing. And that way we will return to our natural state of inner bliss that we're just born with.
So we have it all. We just need to recognize it.
Yes, exactly. It's the return to the Garden of Eden. You know, but you have to return with wisdom, understanding why you really are innocent and why this really is a meaningful existence.
One final question, and we'll stop right here. What do you want the reader to take away from this book?
Well, I would like everybody to know that it's because we can't perceive our innocence and equality to each other. That's why we're judgmental and incapable of unconditional love. But when you understand that we're all entitled to the state of bliss that we're all looking for, this is our natural state. All it takes is understanding who you really are at a deeper level, and knowing that all the negativity that's in your mind is not based in reality. That dissolves all the negativity, understanding why it shouldn't be there, why it's all made up. And what emerges naturally when you take that away is our natural happiness, natural peace within ourselves and with our world.
Where can we find your website?
It's magnificenttruths.com.
All right.
And you can also get there just typing mtruths.com. And my book is available there. It's available at amazon.com as paperback or Kindle. And through my website, you can still get free bonus gifts to go with your purchase. And that includes ebooks and e-courses donated by being offered by other authors. So that's still available, and that's from the book launch that just happened 3 weeks ago. The book has been doing very well.
Right.
It became an Amazon.com international bestseller. So I'm very pleased with that, and I really hope to share it with as many people as possible.
Well, Daniel, congratulations, and thank you for writing the book and for being with us today. We'll look forward to hearing more from you, whether in print or otherwise, and I hope you'll come back and talk with us again sometime.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you again.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Daniel Parmeggiani, and we will link to Daniel's website at chiefforyourself.com. And, of course, when you go there, you want to make sure that you leave your email address in the box provided. When you subscribe to the Genulines blog, we keep you up to date on who's going to be on the show, what the topics are going to be, any changes in scheduling and things like that. The best way to do that is to keep up with Genulines, and that's what we always urge you to do. And I'm pleased to say that our guest list has been looking good and is going to continue to look good. We've got some good people lined up for you as the summer wears on. So that's pretty much what's in the hopper. I intend to keep sending these programs your way, keeping up the good chi or essential energy in your day. And speaking of day, time is up for today. Thanks so much for being with us. Be well, and I'll talk to you soon.